What's up, everybody? I'm back. It's been a minute, but I'm back, and I have a very special guest with me today. I got Dylan from the PH team dropping their third protocol in 3 months, 3 consecutive months, famous.io. And as the title and the thumbnail suggests, we're going to show you how you can take a 30x leverage on your entire portfolio and how you can make that translate into infinite profits. So, without further ado, the man who's going to show you how to do this, Dylan. I think that face says it all right there.
Leverage your whole portfolio 30x. Sorry, yes.
The PHLP people will be very happy with you there.
Yes, they will thank you for your fees.
Oh man, but Dylan, thanks for coming on again, man. I really appreciate it. I think we had a good conversation last time, and I think that was around the fiat launch.
I think so. Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, man, right? You're back. Well, that was probably before Pulse Chain, honestly.
Yeah, for eFiat, yeah, it was April of last year, sir. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. So I'm
this
really
year.
happy
I'm sorry, April of this year.
Yeah, this year, last year, it's all the same in crypto.
It all what crypto does to you, it fucks with your head, man.
Yeah, dude, for real. These 4 months of Pulse Chain have felt like forever. Can you believe we talked 2 years when Pulse Chain?
Yeah, and then now it's like all morphed together. It's like, what the hell is going on here? I'm just managing money. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Right. I thought I was gonna get a 90x right off the jump. What's going on? This isn't what I expected. Oh man, but yeah, man, I'm super glad to have you on. Today, obviously, you had Famous launch yesterday. And first of all, congratulations on that, man. I think 3 protocols in 3 consecutive months. My hat's off to you guys.
Yes, all the glory goes to the devs. Glory to the devs.
Praise be to the PH devs.
There you go. Yes, God dev, dev 1, dev 3. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Couldn't do without them.
Hell
but
yeah.
I'm happy to be here, sir.
Appreciate it, man. And then for everybody in the audience, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I know, Corey Geary's been really excited about this one for a little bit, and I know you were on their stream not too long ago. I enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, I love talking to those guys. They're great.
Yeah, I think they're a really good asset to the community. They just bring a whole new perspective to everything. But so everybody watching today, even though Famous just launched, we're not going to be talking about that too much specifically. My goal for today is actually to go really into the weeds on like how these 3 protocols work together. Because if you take a step back and look at each one, if you understand each one and then look back at it individually, I think they have this really good synergistic effect with each one of them. And the fact that they're all under one umbrella, one, it's great for speculation because when you buy one, you kind of buy stake in all of it. But also the fact that it's the same team behind it allows for a lot more really cool opportunity that you don't see with the original protocols on their separate platforms, right? So GMX and Aave have no connection with each other. Balancer and GMX or Aave, none of them are synergistic in any kind of way because they're all different devs on different platform, on different L1s even. But with you guys, you're able to take advantage of the strengths and weaknesses of each of them so that we as the end user are able to essentially just make more money.
That's right. Yeah. And I think the only synergy that Aave has would be with Balancer. And that was because they had tender love and care between the 2 businesses, and they were able to, trust each other. But we're in the unique position, where we have the same devs building, Fiat, PHUX, and Fame, right? So right off the bat, we have the immense power of working between these 3 protocols, right? And that cannot be understated. Okay. But yeah, I love to get in the weeds about all this stuff. And the whole, well, this is how you open up a short. This is how you open up a long. You slide the lever over on here. You click this, you click fee, like all that. Yeah, that's great. Okay. But getting in the weeds is really what I like to do. So
yeah. You can save all that lever sliding for Corey Geary and Dane's stuff. You can bring the good stuff over here.
Hear that?
Yeah, I'm just messing. But yeah, so I think let me think. If there's anything else I wanted to say before we jump in. No, I think if I think about it, I'll bring it back up. But Hex Mole brings up our first conversation, And let's talk about PHLP. So we'll start just answering the question, and then we'll see where it goes from there. He says,
Okay.
where this price comes from, how supply is dynamic, and how it gets its fee. So, okay, everything. He wants to know everything.
Okay. Yeah. So the base level is PHLP is a kind of like a token of receipt for your inserting liquidity. All right. On the famous platform. Okay. And it's kind of like dollar for dollar. As more dollars are entered into the PHLP pool, the supply grows elastically. Okay. So, more liquidity entering more PHLP to be had or to exist. Okay. Um, Now, as traders win, lose, get liquidated, if the traders are net winning, the PHLP assets will decrease, right? Because something has to give, right? Okay, so first start off in crypto or in any sort of financial instrument besides the fucking tap directly from the Fed, there's no free lunch, okay? It comes from somewhere, right? So in this, it's no different. Somebody is losing, somebody is winning, all right? When you're providing PHLP, you're taking the risk that the traders are going to lose or that they might win. Okay. And so you're providing assets for them to be able to leverage, right? If they lose, you get their collateral, or you get their losses, right? Because they were losing. Okay. If they get liquidated, you exclusively get those losses, right? Now, when let's say that the prices of these assets they go up naturally, okay, and there's no trades, all right. Well, the PHLP pool will follow the market, and it will also go up in price because the underlying assets in the PHLP pool increase in price. Okay. Now, if let's say all things remain the same and all the prices are flatlined, okay, but there's still traders trading these assets. So we're going to eliminate the variable of market volatility. And we're just going to say everything's now a stable coin, and everybody's betting that this stable coin is going to pump, that stable coin is going to pump, whatever. Okay, but we're just pretending that no trade, like people are still trading, but the assets are the same. All right. Now, if people are getting liquidated, if people are losing, they're paying hourly rates. What happens is the assets they grow in size, right? So you'll see the PHLP index price go up because there's more assets in the pool, right? So the supply didn't change, but the price went up. Yeah. So the NAV, the nominal asset value, right? I believe that's what that stands for. So that's basically the bare bones of the PHLP. Now, when you're a PHLP provider and the assets are growing, you're able with your receipt, the PHLP, basically a receipt, you're able to withdraw more tokens, right? Because it's more valuable. It represents that same size share if there's no more liquidity being added. Okay. So like let's say you deposited $1 million, okay, and nobody else deposited after you, right? So this is the third variable situation here. If you deposited your $1 million, nobody else deposited. Let's say there's 1 million PHLP tokens in existence, and you hold all of them. Okay, traders are trading. The assets are staying the same price, and they're just growing in size. Meaning, let's say there's hex in there, right? The hex is the same price, but now there's 5 million more hex, right? So now that you own the whole pool, now you've made 5 million hex profit, right? You can take out all of that hex or all of the whatever you've deposited. It doesn't matter. The point is, when these assets grow, your ability to to make profit, it still exists. You just withdraw your PHLP and things like this, right? Now, on the flip side, if traders are winning, that's where the impermanent loss aspect comes in, right? You may be overweighted in one particular asset because traders won big on others. Okay. You may find you're lightweight on stable coins because maybe the market plummeted and some guy was a lucky bastard and opened up a massive short. We don't know, right? But that's a risk you take when you're providing liquidity in a regular liquidity pool or on a PHLP anyways, right? Impermanent loss is a risk, okay? You need to be acutely aware of that, all right? So I hope that clears up the kind of bare bones of what PHLP is and things like that. So
yeah, I think there's a good comprehensive explanation. And the way I describe it to people is like you are providing the coins for other people to use as leverage. Like you said, these coins
That's
have to
correct.
come from somewhere. So if you
Yep.
do a 30x leverage on a million pulse, well, that other 29 million has to come from somewhere. And
That's
where
right.
it comes
From there.
from is the community. And this actually concept in of itself, we could talk about for a while, because on traditional centralized exchanges, the leverage comes from their liquidity. Right. So they have the ability to shut it off, turn it on, shut it off, or even do like scammy things, because it's all like behind a curtain and it's all
Yep.
owned by one single entity. In this
Yeah.
case, kind of like,
I don't,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't even think we can verify that stuff anyways. Like there could be tons of hidden leverage that we don't know about. That's
Yep.
entirely possible. Right.
Yeah. So
On
the
here,
fact,
you can always tell.
yeah. So the fact that the coins that are being used for leverage are being provided by the community, like already is in that right, the step in the right direction of decentralized, permissionless financial assets or financial protocols, and it makes it I don't know how to, it makes it stronger in my opinion. Like the foundation is really strong if you have a bunch of liquidity in the PHLP token, because it's all coming from a whole bunch of different places instead of one specific place. Although like there'll be whales who have more, etc. That's always the case. But like generally, and another thing is anybody can participate in it. Like I can take my 1 hex and throw it in, and like cool, I get to earn a little bit of money. I get to earn 0.34 hex every single year. You know, it's when we get that $1,000 hex mark, that's gonna be a big
Hey,
deal.
that's actually not a bad return, sir. That's 34%.
Yeah, exactly. Where else can you get that? I don't know. with your hex. I'm just kidding. But the risk you're taking is that people are going to take that leverage, win, and basically take your coins. But then the profit of it is when people lose and gets liquidated, all of those tokens go into this pool. So the total absolute value of the tokens goes up. And because no new PHLP tokens were created, your share of the pool goes up. It's just the pie is now bigger. But if and then also the fees. So the fees of opening and closing a position, and does the funding rate, those things also go into this pool as well, like when you're charged every single hour? Yeah.
Yep, pretty sure it's split between PHLP and the stakers. So
yeah,
the only thing that exclusively goes to the PHLP pool is the liquidation, like of the collateral and stuff. That goes straight to the. Everything else is split.
So the 60% of whatever fees happen on this platform also go in here too. So new coins are being added without new receipts being generated. Because if somebody puts in tokens and gets a receipt, well, you get diluted relative to everybody else.
Yep, that's right.
The price, because I've had people ask me this, like, should I buy it? And actually, right here, it's saying you probably shouldn't buy it because you're going to get a better 2% better value, more or less, by actually just providing the coins natively. So you can mint these coins by taking your any of these that you have here and throwing it into the pool. You get your PHLP token.
Yep.
Now this is interesting because we now have a token who theoretically, if the price is going up or the price is stable and the number of coins are going up, is intrinsic value is going up over time. So Dylan, tell me, what does that mean for, say, if I wanted to take a loan against it?
Yeah. So eventually, it's not to be had yet, but eventually there will be a point in time where you'll be able to have your PHLP tokens of receipt on fiat, right? You can borrow against that. Now you can come up with creative ways to either increase your exposure to PHLP via adding leverage. So like you could take your PHLP, you could borrow some more stable coins on fiat, right, and then reintroduce into the PHLP pool. Okay, you could find creative ways to add assets and grow your position in that way. That would kind of go long PHLP. Maybe that would be a smart idea in an uptrending market, right? If in a downtrending market, obviously, since it's not all stable coins, right, you're going to have it also go down in price just because the NAV, the NASETs, or I'm sorry, the NASETs, the nominal asset value is also going down, right? So you need to be aware of that stuff when you're using that. But hopefully, when we have PHLP, you guys will be able to have the understanding of how to use it and stuff on fiat. But yeah, so you'll be able to take out loans. If you find any sort of yield arbitrage that is to be had, you can use your PHLP to do that. by taking out loans, go throwing it up on the pools on pHUX. Now, one thing that hasn't happened yet on pHUX is, between fiat and pHUX, is the pools where you can use your deposits that you have on fiat and you can place them in liquidity pools on pHUX. That hasn't happened
Oh
yet.
yeah.
But that collateral that you have, you can send it to yourself, you can send it to your friends, you can deposit it in liquidity pools. It's still, it's 1-to-1. So you can it's 1 to 1 point like something to 1 because it's accruing yield. So the tokens themselves, they're it's dynamic based on use and stuff, but essentially it's 1-to-1, right? It's always going to be backed, right? But yeah, no, that's an interesting thing you can do. That hasn't, nobody's done that yet. I've been meaning to make a pool, but we just once the devs finish the stuff with Fame completely, then they'll start perhaps working on stuff like that. But
yeah, awesome. Before we get into yield arbitrage, because I think that's definitely where I want to take the conversation next. There's a couple questions. Kexmall really quickly. So he said you can trade PHLP for the underlying assets. That's correct. So this is think of it almost like a pHUX pool where like you have all the underlying assets together. And so if I put in say 1 million pulse, I'll get the this much PHLP, and I can do the same for any of these assets right here. And then when you want to sell it, you can take out however many you want, say 100, and then you can withdraw any single one of these assets.
correct.
Basically, as long as there's sufficient liquidity for the amount that you're withdrawing, you can do it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the platform is going to incentivize you to add assets via fees. Okay, so if there's a coin that's overweight, like Pulse is overweight currently by 4.2%, right? So, sorry guys, it's going to incentivize you to not deposit Pulse via increasing fees for your deposit. And it's going to incentivize you for something like, let's see, USDT. Yeah, USDT or USDC or DAI is going to incentivize you. USDC would be, I'm sorry, USDT would be the cheapest as far as I can see here. It would be absolutely the cheapest. Yeah. So, and this is, and it's not like, on pHUX where you're depositing only one side of the asset and it's selling those coins for the other, it's distributing them across that liquidity pool to where like, say we're in a pool with 3 tokens, right? And I only have one side of them and it's a 30 split, right? So it's 3-3-3, okay? Or 30-30-30. And I take the one asset. Well, it's going to sell 60% of that asset that I just put in and buy the other 2 tokens to spread it out. And now it's a 30-30, whatever, right? It's a 3-way split. Whereas on here, you're depositing for that particular asset, right? And you can withdraw in that particular asset. It's not selling it for all the other ones. No, you're literally just depositing. You're making it available for other people to trade. You're depositing that one asset, right? So
UI looks the same, but what's going on under the hood is very different with what's going on with the adding and subtracting LP. And then Corey had a question: is like, what if Pulse pumps and ETH does it? Do I suffer impermanent loss from that aspect?
Okay, so in a regular liquidity pool, you would, right? Because if you're in a pool with like say 50-50 ETH Pulse, okay, you're affecting your price of what you're holding. So let's say you have, I don't know, 100 million Pulse, which is like like $4,000 or something, right? And then you have like 2 ETH. Okay, so that's 100 million Pulse versus 2 ETH, right? And then let's say the Pulse price doubles, so the pool on the Pulse side would decrease by a quarter. So you'd have now 75,000 Pulse or 75 million Pulse, and then 4.5 ETH, right? I think that's the math. And so obviously the pool, it went up in price, okay? But on here, there's no, you're not losing any Pulse. You're not gaining any ETH unless there's traders that won or lost, okay? So you're literally depositing for that one particular asset, okay? But you're also getting exposure to everything else in the pool, right? So you're buying into the index with just one token, All right. And if you buy in massively with that one token into the index, you're going to be penalized via fees. Okay. Because we don't want that much of PulseX, right? You asshole.
Mhm.
Don't give me 50% PulseX. So cool. You know, it's not gonna let you do that, but if you try, it's gonna charge you out the ass, right? So,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah. And
generally
this is
speaking.
what Hexmall is saying for incentives for underweighted assets. So to take an extreme example, Hexmall, if 99% of the PHLP composition was Pulse, well, then you may get like a 10 to 15% penalty just by depositing more Pulse because it's all Pulse, and you
Yeah,
can't do leverage with anything else.
I don't know
But
how
with like,
extreme it gets, but yeah, it's not going to
yeah,
incentivize you to deposit any more Pulse. And
yeah,
there is a limit on how much can be deposited, like
yeah.
ceiling wise. But yeah,
Yeah.
don't do that.
And then if there's no die in there, well, maybe it'll give you like a free deposit. Just like this is just like relative numbers to each other to use.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty sure either it's 1 basis point or free. Yeah, so depending on how low it is, yes.
Yeah. And so that's basically like, hey, do you want to just lose an X% of your value by depositing it up front or not? That's pretty much what the value prop is there.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about yield arbitrage, and then I'll open it with a little explanation first. And it's really simple. Yield arbitrage is the difference between the APY that you're paying in the loan that you have and the APR you're getting from whatever yielding opportunity you get. So if you have a 5%, if you have to take a loan and you're paying 5% over that year, but you can take the loan that you get and deposit it in an LP pool that says getting 15%. Well, you have a 10% difference there of pure profit that you can use to pay your loan off over time, and basically just get you know, I don't want to say free money because you're taking on risk, but you're increasing the size of your bag while keeping your assets and not necessarily risking them in the traditional way.
Yeah, so let's open up a situation where you would do something like that, right? So let's say you're in Pulse Chain, okay, and you're in cash because you sold the top, right? Congrats. And
You're a G.
you don't want to buy yet, but you want to make money on your cash, right? So what you could do is you could deposit on fiat. Okay. You could earn your deposit rate between the three assets. You know, if you spread it around, you won't affect. Okay, so if you're coming in with size and you spread your size around between, you know, DAI, USDC, and USDT, you can keep a higher deposit rate. Okay, and they should all have the same LTV that you can take out. Okay, and you can just have a conglomerate of collateral. All right, and then with that, you can go and you'll pay, I don't know, maybe like on average 5% for so you're almost making 2% each, 1.5 to 2%. You know, I'm rounding up, but that's what you would be getting as your deposits, right? And if you just deposit only DAI, you're going to affect your deposit rate for your deposit, right? Because if you're going on size, because obviously the loan didn't increase like the deposit rate did, right? So anyways, what you could do, since you're in cash and you want to make money, you could say, okay, well, what pools are there on PHUX that are paying decent APY, right? So you go here, you go shopping at this point. You can say, okay, the co-stable pool is paying a decent amount. I've only got, I don't know, let's say you have a little bit of prime PHUX, so you're increasing your boost, right? So let's say you have, I don't know, like 0.5%. Okay, so a decent amount, but it's still small, right? Compared to your, let's say, 500K, right, that you're using to as deposits on fiat, right? So just from what I know on the bridge stable pool, if you have 500K, I don't have that much in there, but let's say you did, you wouldn't be making that much off of your boost, right? You'd make maybe 16%. You'd make the lowest amount of APY. Okay. However, if you spread it around in these multiple pools by taking loans, you could make a little bit more on that 500K than you can just on the bridge stable pool, right? So you could do the PulseX single-sided staking, right? So you could borrow some PulseX against your stables. That's an easy one, right? You could do, let's see, what is fiat and PX? So you could do Shelby Apples. That's a pretty decent one. That's right below fiat maxi. You could probably do that one, okay? By borrowing some hex. And assuming you have some fiat, you can just chuck it in there, right? You could take out a loan on your a various amount of Richard Hart coins, and you could go into the Richard Hart pool, okay, the RH Maxi pool, wherever that one is. Yeah, you could earn a little bit more on your yield comparatively. You could even go into the Alex pool, right? Borrow some Hex, which is a majority of liquidity. You can go buy some Hedron, okay? And obviously, if the market is very volatile, this is not something you want to do. But in a time like now, where the volatility is kind of lax and there's not much happening, you could easily watch these prices. Just keep an eye on stuff, check it every day, right? Typically, things don't they don't do a 2x overnight, right? And if they do, then something big is going on, and probably you shouldn't. It's just not typical on what happens usually, right? But there is that risk. So keeping an eye on your health factor, right? So you have a health factor of, let's say, 4 or 5. A 2x isn't going to help. It's not going to hurt you. It'll make your loans more expensive. But if you're in those liquidity pools, you're mitigating that, and you're taking on that risk because the APY is so high, right? That's why you're there, right? So obviously there is risks associated with this stuff, but yeah. So that's one example where you can do it. It's called a positive carry trade, right? And you could passively farm this stuff, or you'd have to be more active in this sort of situation, but you could totally do that, right? And there might be instances where when you're able to when we have the balancer boosted pools, okay, which is the deposits from Aave, which in this case would be fiat. They're incentivized to come over and provide liquidity on balancer, which would be pHUX, and you could provide these this liquidity in that way, right? And then obviously they get a gauge and stuff, and they have a little bit extra that are given to them just to incentivize deposits. Now, we don't have that yet, until it's all the kinks are worked out, because there was a kink on balancer about this stuff. It's just added complexity. So, anyways, when that comes out, and you'll be able to do that, that'll be cool to have. But yeah, positive carry trade, gentlemen.
Yep. And so I'll go through actually an opportunity that's available right now that I've talked about a little bit behind the scenes.
There you go.
Just to give you guys a real life example of what kind of what a yield arbitrage opportunity looks like live. So if we go to PulseX, we'll see that your borrow APY is 3.72%. So over a year, if you deposit $1 million, I'll do 100 to make it easy. 100 PLSX, you big baller, you're going to have to pay 3.72 more at the end of the year if this APY stays the same. Now, take note, this is a variable APY, so this does change over time. So everything that you're seeing right now, and this is part of the risk of it, and why Dylan said you have to be a little bit more active, because the APYs of your loan changes and the APYs of your yield can change. And so you have to make sure that you always have the delta that's making it profitable available while your position is open. Okay. But you have PLSX is 3.72%. Well, if we go to the Pulse single-sided staking pool, you'll notice that the base is 18%. And that's if you have no veFUX or no prime FUX exposure at all. Right. So automatically there's about a 14% difference between the amount you have to pay back and the amount of yield that you're getting. And this is actually a really special opportunity because, like the name suggests, it's almost 100% PLSX. So what you're paying back when you're paying back your fiat loan, your loan on fiat, is PLSX. So it's not the dollar value, it's the absolute number of coins that you have. Well, if you're staking this in what's almost a single-sided staking position, you always have 90% of the value of your LP position in the coin that you need to repay back. So if the price skyrockets and then dumps and then skyrockets and dumps, at the very least, you're not worried about it because you have most of that PLSX in your liquidity pool ready to go. And then your risk is with that extra 10% with the prime FUX and then the bridge stable pool. So this is an example of a more low risk opportunity that you could take advantage of because of the nature of the liquidity pool and the nature of the loan that you're taking.
Yeah, and there's a graphic that we used to have in the trading chat for PH products. It's called Fight Club with PH. Okay,
Mhm.
and yeah, it illustrates how a 50-50 pool and how its impermanent loss is pretty drastic when these coins start to move against each other,
Mhm.
right? Whereas you're in a 90-10 pool, your impermanent loss is uh, extremely low comparatively to a 50-50 pool. I mean, we're talking,
Oh, yeah.
the price really has to fucking move to where you're losing your ass. Okay, in a 90-10, virtually the impermanent
It's
loss
almost
is
negligible, honestly, in a
it's
lot of ways.
negligible unless shit's mooning, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
if pulsex goes down another 90%, you're gonna feel the impermanent loss. If you would have just stayed in the stable coins or whatever, but generally speaking, the impermanent loss that you're experiencing is much, much less than it is in a regular 50-50 weighted pool. Just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's another instance that I didn't describe. With this pool, at least, you're less worried about impermanent loss
Yeah, you
dipping
don't have to
into your
watch it like a hawk.
PLSXF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus if you did something like, I don't know if there's a 50-50 pool on here, but if you wanted to go on a PulseX, for
Yeah,
example,
pulsing
and
for fiat.
deposit it,
There's one right there where it's 50-50
where it is,
with
somewhere
the
in here.
black.
There it
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
there you go.
50-50. Yeah. So this one would be a more traditional risk level of impermanent loss that you have to take into account relative to your loan. Yeah.
And it would move in the function of double the bid side, 4x the price, right? So
Yeah.
that's how that works in the 50-50 pools. And I
Yeah.
believe on when you move the price 2x on a overweighted pool like the 90-10, if PulseX doubled in price, you wouldn't lose double the coins on the bid side, right? You'd only lose maybe 10% of them or something like this. I'm not sure. But it's skewed massively, right? That's why you don't get that much permanent loss. So
Here, I got a graphic actually
there you go.
from one of the courses that I did a while ago. Let me show it. There it is.
There you go. That's the graph. Bada bing.
Yep. There it is. So 95.5, your impermanent loss as this is relative price change. Just the coins are going divergent in prices, not being stable. It pretty much, you don't ever get like 5%. Like at a 5x change, you don't even get 5% impermanent loss. But for a 50-50 pool at 5x change, you already have a 25% impermanent loss right there. So this is kind of what that looks like mathematically if you were to chart out all the different options. And as you get weighted more and more, a way to think about it is it's more like you're holding liquid. Like less of it is like paired together, and it's like in the 95.5, it's like you're holding 95% of that coin and 5% of the other, something like that. That's an easy way to think about it. Yeah. So we have a couple questions we'll get into. Hex Majesty, he said, I never figured out what determines the boost sum of your veFUX pool. Can you explain to me like at 5?
Sure.
Let me explain it really quick because I want to see if I have this right, and then you can correct me where I'm wrong.
Okay.
All right? Okay. So you deposit your veFUX into the prime veFUX pool, and then you stake that for veFUX. And your percentage of that pool is the maximum boosted yield that you can get in a pool that you stake in. Let me say that with numbers. If you have 1% of the prime veFUX pool and it's staked out, then you can earn up to 1% if you have 1% of that pool that you're staking in, you earn that boosted yield for that 1%. And then if you have like 2%, that extra 1% goes to base yield.
Yes. So, yep, that's right. And I'll explain it.
Easier.
When you have prime PHUX and you lock it up for veFUX, okay. I'm gonna call it FUX because it's just much easier.
Yeah.
But anyways, when you lock it up for veFUX, obviously longer pays better. Okay. So the longer you lock it, the bigger boost you get in regards to veFUX. All right.
Yeah.
Then you have now your number of, okay, like you said, 1%, right? So when you go and add liquidity to any pool, like for instance, the bridge stable pool, right? And you go and you lock it up, it'll tell you your share of the pool when you go and lock it up, right? Now you compare that with your veFUX. And if it's the same number, you will get the 2.5x on your bonuses or on your yield farming or whatever, right? Now, if it's like the graph goes like this. Okay, and it tapers off. So if you have, not enough veFUX, you're going to be on the lower end of one side of the graph, right? If you have too much veFUX, you're going to be on the upper end, but on the lower side of the graph. Okay, you're going to be on the other side. If you got to find that sweet spot. So you have to match your percent of the actual liquidity pool that you're staking to the percent of vePHUX that you've staked. Okay, when those two match, you get the biggest boost.
And so that's what Dylan was saying when he was describing, like, hey, maybe when you borrow, you want to borrow a couple different assets and then spread them out multiple pools, so that yield boost that you're getting stays at the 2.5% and doesn't start to taper off because you've overbid or you've over provided LP relative to your veFUX position.
Exactly. Yep. And then that could also just make it to where you don't even have to borrow that many assets, right? Because you're getting the upper echelon of these pools. So, that decreases your risk in terms of your loan, right?
Yeah.
So you can keep that in mind when you're doing this stuff.
Yeah. And then it also de-risks your, it also provides you with less risk in regards to the amount of money you're making. So you're getting more FUX basically when you're doing that.
Yep.
Another thing to keep in mind. Oh, go ahead. You go first.
Yeah, we didn't even mention. Since you're paying off your loans and you're having to, obviously, if you're paying off your loans and you're not, let's say you're just base rate paying off your loan, and maybe a little bit more because you want to de-risk a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're selling some PHUX, okay, in this case. So with that in mind, you can go over to PulseX and you can see, okay, well, over there on PulseX, I could farm and I can get this much, for my farms, and I'm very happy to sell all my ink and pay off my loans, right? You can totally do that. I used to do that on testnet all the time. I at one point I was providing on V2B. I don't do it on V3 or V4, but on V2B I borrowed, I believe, about $80 million of Pulse, and then I had I didn't ever borrow PulseX, and I had just the rest in stable coins, and I chucked it into the pool, right? So I didn't have to buy any Pulse, right? But then I was taking and earning, a bunch of ink, and I was paying off my loan and providing liquidity that way, and the market was sideways, so it was really easy. And I was, my house factor was, in the thousands because I just had so much fiat as my collateral, but we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That brings up a good point where you can extend like the distance or the amount of yielding that you do with all of the income that you're getting as much as you want before you pay off the loan. So like you take the coins that you're earning and then you earn on them, and then you just keep compounding until you're ready to bring it back into where your baseline rate is. Like it doesn't have to just be like one step removed in terms of like the assets that you borrowed. You can take the yield on the yield, collateralize the yield. Like these are I guess foldable concepts that you can fold on top of each other as many times as you want. Just keep in mind that the more folds that you have, like generally more risky, or it takes more time. Like if you're earning 10% and then you're getting a little bit of coin and then you're earning another 10% on the little bit that you have, like that's less money coming out the end. Generally.
Yeah. So I would suggest everybody listening, take a small amount of money, maybe $100 if that's too much for you, less obviously. And then just go try it out, right? Go explore come up with crazy ideas you think may work, right? Find out some of the really crazy ideas you have don't work. And then, you tried it and you learned something by using these protocols. Okay, you paid for a lesson, right? Your own private lesson, you paid for it. Okay. But yeah, no, seriously, go on and try it, right, for yourself. Just give it a whirl, right? It doesn't. Make sure you try it while the fees are cheap, right? So in the bull, we might not have this luxury where we can, I don't mind chucking 1,000 pulse at this transaction. I don't give a shit. Here, bam, Whereas in the bull market, hopefully 1,000 pulse is expensive and these fees are expensive. But right now, it's really cheap, man. Take advantage of it and make sure you guys you can even just follow along with what we're doing on stream. So, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah, a power pulse chain right there, right? We get to do all this stuff that we can't do on ETH to actually learn with real life examples. Like, you can play, or even testnet. Like, it's good for learning how to do things, and to a degree, you're getting simulated market dynamics. But there's nothing like doing it like on the real thing, on live while prices are moving and everything. So I second that recommendation as well. Yeah, let's see. Anything else I want to talk about yield arbitrage before we move on? Yeah, let's bring the PHL. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say PHLP.
On the same page, Mike.
Exactly. Yeah. So PHLP is very lucrative, potentially. Okay. And being able to borrow and add more PHLP, that could be also very lucrative. Now, the ways that you can, take on that risk by borrowing on on fiat can vary, right? So if you're, using PulseX or something, or let's say, buy PHLP. Yeah, that's right. All the DJs lose money. Yeah, that's the bet. Let's see. Let me look on fiat here. Let's see here. So basically, the same assets that you have in PHLP pool are existing on fiat at the moment. Now, let's say you have an overexposure to hex, but you don't want to sell your hex, obviously, right? Nobody wants to do that, right now. Okay, but you want to enter in the PHLP pool. Well, you'll notice that it's overweighted. Okay, so it's going to incentivize you not to do that, and maybe you could get to the point where hex is completely full, right, on PHLP, which is totally possible. If you go to the dashboard here, let's see, global composition index, max USDC capacity. No, we want, so max hex capacity is $1 million, right? I don't see it being full for maybe a month or two, but there is a max capacity for how much hex can be had in that pool, right?
Where is that on here?
You go to dashboard,
mm-hmm.
Then you go down, scroll down to hex, and you just click on the 147K. You just hover over it. Yeah. See, max hex capacity, $1 million.
Yep.
So obviously when that gets filled and you have hex, obviously you cannot buy any more PHLP, right? So at that point, what can you do? You want to participate, right? Well, you can deposit your hex on fiat, so long as there's room. There should be. There's not right now, but I've been told that may increase, in a little bit of time, and you can deposit some hex on there. You could borrow against it, and you can chuck some, let's say, DAI, right? Because DAI has a pretty high ceiling, okay, on PHLP, right? So you can deposit DAI, and you can get exposure to PHLP. You can get some more rewards and things like that, right? So, yeah.
In that scenario, your risk would be hex going down in price.
That's correct.
Because that's where your main risk. Where your risk of being liquidated, that's where it lies in the hex price going down, which in turn the PHLP token would also probably be going down in price as well. And
that brings up a good point. So to lower your risk, what you could do is, I think we're all aware of the hex to pulse chain price, right? We all know it's like 180 pulse per hex, okay, at the moment. And that's not very volatile in terms of like hexes. We're not imminently thinking that hex is going to dump versus pulse, or pulse is going to dump versus hex, right? They kind of relatively not volatile in that sort of way, okay, against each other, right? So you could take out a loan in pulse in that scenario when you're depositing hex, and you can have less of that price movement risk, and you could essentially be capturing less risk, but be able to place into the PHLP pool and get that same sort of performance.
Upside exposure.
Exactly. Yeah, you can get that same upside exposure or relative performance of the index by borrowing against your hex without having to actually sell it. Okay, which is powerful. Okay, or even pulse hex. It doesn't matter, right? We don't think. Well, I mean, maybe pulse hex continues to go down versus hex. I don't know, but relatively speaking, when you're borrowing against a Richard Hart asset for another Richard Hart asset, And we're talking about the three here that are on our platforms, right? We're not talking about ink. Okay. Maybe one day it'll be on here, but right now, Hex, Pulse X, and Pulse. Okay. When you're borrowing between those three, their liquidity is so thickly tied together that the volatility between them is very low. Okay. So, you're basically betting on one horse with those three tokens. Obviously, one may outperform by a few X over the other, but generally speaking, those are probably the safer loans that you can take in terms of borrowing on fiat, and then depositing in pools on pHUX or into the PHLP pool, anyways. So, but
Yep.
just thought
that's the exact point I was going to bring up, because the PHLP token, like, its value is intrinsically tied to the things that are backing it, all the coins that are being used on Famous. So if it's correlated to those assets, then logically, the volatility between the assets, the volatility between PHLP and the underlying assets are proportional to a degree.
Yeah.
And so by using, it's not available now, but maybe in the future, PHLP you could use as collateral on fiat. Well, then taking out loans in any of the assets that are underlying it, especially the RH coin specifically, you decrease that liquidation risk of the volatility between the assets, because if one of them is moving, chances are PHLP is also moving because its price is derived from that asset in the first place, which is great. And then you can take that within a single loop where you just throw it back in, you get more collateral, and then compound that leverage into itself.
There you go. And obviously, if you're clever enough, you can find out ways where you can use PHLP to your advantage in those situations when you're using it on fiat. Because this is a price maker, or no, it's a price taker. It's not a price maker on Fame. So you can be creative. You can also hedge yourself against yourself. Like, let's say somebody has a massive position open, right? And then you don't want anybody else to take out positions. You could go deposit your PHLP on fiat and then borrow that particular token and max out the pool or something like this, right? And then that kind of drives up the APY that they have to pay to hold that position open or something like this, right? You can do that, right? You can come up with very clever ways to use these tools, all right? But we don't have it yet. However, when it does come out, you may see these games being played by whales, right? Whale games. Just remember, when you play these games, there is always someone bigger than you, okay? Always. And I would say that people are watching, and if you slip up and you're in these games, you will be fucked, okay? So just keep that in mind, right? We're all in a little fucking Mexican standoff here in the Spider-Man suits, right? There's a big ass circle, right? It's all open, so we're all got to put at each other. So,
everyone can see your position and what you're doing, and if they're even more clever, they got on-chain analysis to know exactly what you borrowed against. Exactly, you can even probably backtrack your health factor and everything like that if you really wanted to. So you can
So if we go to the game, the traders tab, and we just click on one trader, hopefully fiat. Go to stats. Then go to the little hamburger thing at the top left, or I'm sorry, in the top right that says traders right there.
Oh, that's not it.
Oh, my eyes. There you go. And then you can see, okay, these are top P&L holders and then top volume, right? So if we go to the top P&L holders, that means people that have open positions. So click on that guy. It should open up a tab to Fatty. Now, hopefully the Famous tab loads, right? You'll be able to see what their position is, how much leverage they have, all that shit. Let's see if it loads. Go down. Wow, this guy's he's actually pretty wealthy. Good for him.
Whoa, he's got a bunch of stuff going on.
Famous. There you go. So he's long on Hex right now. Look at that. What a fucking Chad, right?
This man thinks Hex is going up. Give him a medal.
There you go. So there you go. Now he has a long on Hex. It doesn't show how much leverage he has. So fair enough. There you go. There's his collateral. Oh, actually it does. So his collateral and his net value. So this guy is the lowest, what, like 1.1x?
Yeah, it's not even 2x. It's not even 2x leverage. This man, the degen.
There you go. So he is really going, he's low. Okay. However, he's doing okay, right? But yeah, there you go. There's one instance of somebody that has a position open. If you have your pants down, people can tell. They can see your assets, right? So, but
If you have your
it's just
pants
one
down, so you can
example.
see your
Okay.
assets. Oh man, that's great that you guys have made it so easy to be able to track people by just clicking a couple links and then you go straight to your other website. Fatty, here's everything, guys. Take them
Yeah.
out.
So
You're loading the
maybe,
guns and putting it in people's hands.
yeah. So, if you want to be clever or something like this or obfuscate, right? Split your shit up into multiple wallets. I don't know. Okay. But you can just see how we all have the same access to the same tools. We're all at the same playing field. Okay. People may make their own dashboards. They may make their own kind of interfaces, but relatively speaking, we all are on the same playing field at the moment, right? Unless there's some sort of unforeseen market thing that comes up that only a couple people know about, then obviously that's like insider trading, right? It's frowned upon. Don't do that, and things like this. But yeah, that was an interesting little. Everybody has access to that now. Now it's on a live stream. Everybody can see it now. But
Everyone knows there are no secrets here.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I think that's good for that. Here's the next topic we talked about behind the scenes. I'll pull it up really quickly, but that is the what was it called again? I'm blanking. Borrowing rate annualized. We were talking about a little bit about this in the green room right before coming on. So tell us about this. What is this telling us, man? What does it mean that Hex has a 33% borrow rate annualized right now?
Yeah. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm pretty sure that this means that that's the APY you're paying as a position holder of like a long on Hex, right? So that person that's holding that position is paying 33% or whatever APY to hold that position open, right? Because they pay an hourly fee. Every hour they're charged a fee to hold that position open, okay? So, even if they were staking max length, yeah, there you go at the bottom, borrow fee, bam, right? So you're getting charged that on your total position size. So let's make sure we understand this, right? So on BitMEX or Bybit or Binance, what typically happens on those exchanges is they have their own liquidity pool, okay, and they have their own price, right? They're making the price on that derivative exchange, right? And it's not moving over to spot or anything like that. It's on the derivative exchange. It has its own liquidity, and then they have their own spot sources that they're pulling price from, and that's called the mark price. All right. So if you've ever traded on BitMEX, which I have, you'll see, all the fucking flashing things going on the right hand side with all the trades being executed and stuff, and then you'll see the positions moving at the very bottom on the order book. Okay, that's its own liquidity on the actual exchange, right? And you can post bids, asks, whatever, right? On Famous, what happens is it's pulling the price from PulseX, and we're all just betting on the price. Okay. And on BitMEX, you have the longs paying the shorts, which incentivizes people to go short so that they have that short side liquidity. Okay. So when people are buying and selling, there isn't an overabundance of people just having bids on the exchange. And then there's a short side of liquidity on the shorts. Okay. So that's how that works. Right. And typically, when the market is even and there's the same kind of leverage being had, or I'm sorry, it's not the same kind of leverage. When the price of the asset is at the mark price, because they're pulling also from oracles. They have multiple prices that they're pulling from, like Coinbase, Bitstamp, Binance, Kraken. They have a very wide range of places that they're pulling price feed from, and then it gives it the mark price, right? And then they have the actual price that's being traded on BitMEX, okay? And that moves relative to the mark price, okay? Now, if at the particular time of the funding rate, if the mark price is below the actual price on BitMEX, what happens is it incentivizes people to go short, right? So it'll have the longs pay more fees, which could end up being, sometimes I even saw it 300% APY annualized, right? So they pay 0.1% or something like that, right? So if you were having a 10x long open, you're paying 300% APY to hold that position open, which is nuts, right? But people were paying it, and they would hold it open for a while because they thought the market would go up, right? So they're thinking in the short term, all right, well, I think that I'm willing to pay this fee and max out this pool, or on Famous it'd be maxing out the pool, but on BitMEX it'd be they're driving the exchange price up above the mark price, okay, and then they're paying that extra fee, right? So on Famous, what's pretty cool is no matter if you're short or long, you're paying a fee, right? And it's based off of use. So obviously the exchange or the equation was total assets available versus assets being borrowed, and then times 0.01% or something like that, right? 0.01. And then that's the hourly rate that you're paying. Where on this chart here, we see borrowing rate annualized, which I'm going to assume that this is what this means, where you're paying 39% APY to hold up in your positions on Pulse. You're paying 33% to hold up in your positions on Hex. And then obviously Pulse X is 47%, right? And then 32% on DAI, which is pretty good, right? If you're a staker or a holder of PHLP, right? You're getting paid those fees. Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome. So in the bull, these borrowing rates can be very high because people want to speculate and people are willing to pay a higher fee to hold open these positions. This is the bear, and this is what they're paying, right? I don't know if it's they're just not aware, or if maybe PHLP is underweight, perhaps. But the speculators are definitely paying. They're willing to pay these fees to hold up these positions. So kudos to them. But yeah, that's not bad. 33% on Hex. Like, hey, and that's when you can pull it out whenever you want, right? It's not
15 years to get that natively.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point for people who are opening positions on Famous, where you don't just have to need to worry about the price, but the time you have the position open also needs to get factored into your risk reward calculator. Because if the move you're predicting happens over a longer period of time, and
it's gonna cost you.
Rate, it comes out of your collateral though, right? It comes out of your collateral.
Yes, which means it increases your exposure and your risk.
Yep. Which means your liquidation price goes in the direction you don't want it to go over time because your collateral is decreasing every single hour.
Yeah. So, for example, the guy that went 1.1x long, right? He's going to pay a funding rate out of his collateral every hour, right? That's slowly going to tick away, and eventually, it'll tick up to where he's no longer 1.1x. Now he's 1.5x long. Mm-hmm. Now he's 1.75x long, whatever it is, right? It's ticking away as collateral until he adds it back. His leverage will increase ever so slightly. I'm being dramatic when I'm saying, from 1.1 to 1.7, right? That would have to be 70% annualized, and then that'd have to take a year, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? It'd be like 1.18 or something like that at that point. But you get what I'm saying, right? It slowly increases as time goes on. But yeah, so if you're in that situation where you're holding up a position, you need to keep it, you need to watch it, right? Keep it, fund it a little bit, right? Give it love. Otherwise, it could slowly increase, right? So let's say this is 300% at some point, which is pretty ridiculous, but it's totally possible. Barring there's a cap on like the rate that's being paid. I don't know, but I'm just saying, in that case, it can move up relatively quickly on everybody that's holding up in longs, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to keep that in mind. But yeah.
Yep. Great point. And does that rate that you're paying every hour increase as you go higher in leverage?
So it's based off of your size. Okay. So if you're holding open a $7,000 position, you're paying the 30% on that annualized. Mm-hmm. So, and okay, you need to keep this in mind when you're holding these positions open. Everything is with your leverage. So if you're 10x long, you're paying 10x the fees. If you're 30x long, obviously paying 30x the fees, right? Because you're being charged the entire size of your position for those fees. Okay, mm-hmm. Which is expensive, right? So when you open up a 30x long, you're already down by 30 10% or something like this, right? If you're opening up a 10x long, I think you're down by like 8% or something like that, right? So the market needs to move in your favor to where you're actually, yeah, see, so you're paying $45 fee on what was your principal?
11,000.
No, your principal.
Oh, principal. Sorry, 400.
Yeah, so,
400.
yeah, so you're paying 10% fee right there. Bam. Look at that.
Yep.
For the access to this leverage, which, that's, people are happy to pay that because you're getting access to 30x price exposure, right? So if the market's moving and you're able to open up a long while the market is moving, you're potentially able to unlock 30x more upside if the market continues moving in that direction, right? So,
yep.
But anyways,
was there anything else I want? And then also you have exit fee as well. Is that the same? Is that the same?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to pay that 10% going in. You're paying that 10% coming out.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? If I can turn my $400 to 11,000 on the market, hey, maybe it's worth it. You never know.
Have at it, my friend.
If I'm throwing my whole portfolio at it, I might not pay.
I've had it, but yeah. Hey, good luck.
Yeah. And this whole conversation brings up a good point that I want to talk about too, and that's the stats page. Like, I think there's a lot of really good information on here. One thing that I thought was really funny, I was looking at this yesterday before this green one came up, but there were 5 days of just straight traders losing. So
yeah. 4 of those days was just Buck and I just losing our ass. just going
losing to each other, right?
I'm just like, 30x long. Let's do it for live stream. Let's go, baby. Like max bidding, right? And then the price would pump maybe like 2%, and like I'd be up like 80% on my my entry. But then like 2 hours later, I get liquidated, and it's like, what the fuck, man?
I like this one too, the open interest, because you could see exactly how much dollar value of longs and shorts there are. So if you just want to be a contrarian, it's like, I'm just going to contrarian trade. Well, here you go. Like, most people are long. Maybe open up a short because most people think the price is going up, and we're all a bunch of idiots. So what do we know?
And so if you've ever watched any sort of derivative exchange markets, typically people are going to long, right? It's always skewed to the long side. All right. So if you're looking to trade against the market, you need to keep in mind people are incentivized to short naturally. Okay. So, you'll see people just naturally go long because that's what makes sense, right? It's just what you do. Now, that could leave a spot where, people could do naughty things and manipulate things to, get you. But, just naturally, people are going to go long, right? And they're not going to go as short. But there will be people that go short because they're trying to hedge themselves, right? I would be one of those, like Buck likes to say this because, he has millions of dollars of assets in Pulse or PulseX, right? But he would love to go short on these things as an insurance policy, which we talk about ad nauseum. So I know you guys have heard this stuff, but yes, hedging your positions is very valuable, and taking on those insurance premiums to hedge yourself completely is worth it, in my opinion. Use your own discretion, do what you want to do, but it's a powerful tool to have and to be aware of. So, But anyways,
I think that brings up a great point because, obviously I'm joking around with the title and the thumbnail of the video to go leverage 30x everything, your entire net worth, right? But and leverage trading gets a bad rap for a good reason, because you can leverage your entire portfolio 30x and lose it very, very easily.
Oh yeah,
but these are someone will see that, and that guy with the 1.1 will be like, and sell it down. That's your point, buddy. But these are sophisticated tools that people who are adept in financial markets use in order to stay as profitable as possible, or at least to not lose as much as just holding spot would result in. And I think as an ecosystem that's growing and trying to present itself as a legitimate place to transact and get cryptocurrency exposure, having these platforms and having the ability to use these tools to do more sophisticated things like hedging your bets, getting yield arbitrage, just gives more legitimacy to the chain overall.
I totally agree with you, Sloth. Yeah, the unique advantage that we may have relative to the other chains is we literally have these tools at our disposal. Okay, now it is up to you to figure out how you want to use them at your disposal so you can make some money, right? there's going to be a lot of people that try and scramble to get into this stuff and understand how it works when liquidity is injected back into the chain, right? So everybody watching, you're in the unique situation where you're able to do this while everything is rather liquid. It's rather new to everybody. They're just now seeing how to do this stuff, right? They're watching on YouTube to figure it out. Okay, well, you're in the situation where it's the fees are cheap. Okay, transactions are pretty fast, and you can risk $10-$20 to like get acquainted with how to use all this stuff. Okay, and it will behoove you to know how to do this before everybody else does. Okay. We're kind of a small group of people right now that are here and that are paying attention. Everybody else is not paying attention. They're not interested in crypto. They think it's all a fucking scam. So you're in a unique situation where you can really put your head in the sand or put your head to work, right, and get to know how to do all this stuff. But
for me, I think the yield arbitrage stuff is, at least in my head, the thing that I'm paying attention to the most, because like if you thought PDI and Atropa was degen and crazy, like just wait until we're in an actual bull market with Pulse Chain, seeing all the crazy like yield farming opportunities that are going to pop up. And so if you want to take advantage of that kind of stuff without dipping into your main bag and selling the assets to do that, like, that this is one of the mechanisms that you can use to open up liquidity to be able to participate in the casino when the time comes.
Yeah. So now you have a real casino here. Even we just got done explaining how it's very powerful, but also in the degen world, this is very powerful, right? You're able to come back, come back home. Come on. Come back. You can go leverage trade now. You don't have to buy meme coins anymore, buddy. Go back buying your Richard Hart coins. Go speculate. You can take on that extra risk in the form of leverage now. You don't have to buy stable coins anymore that are promised that are promising to go to $1 by giving you false narratives or anything like that. You can just use good old leverage, baby. So yeah, I'll throw that out there as well.
Keep it simple. We're simple people over here. We like to go super long and super short on all of the good old boy assets. Not these. I don't know, whatever meme coin gets released in the next couple months.
There you go. And potentially,
go ahead.
we also I was gonna say potentially that the PDI shenanigans and stuff like that. I don't know. Looks like a top to me. I guess it remains to be seen. But it was very interesting while it lasted. That's for damn sure. So,
anyway. Yeah, it was really interesting because I kind of started paying attention to it a couple of days before the top recently, and it was really interesting. I think if I was able to catch it earlier, I probably would have speculated a little bit more on it. I was able to cash out like a small amount of profit in Pulse terms. I'm interested to see more on if it catches a bottom and is able to recover a little bit. That's what I'm watching to see. How much legs does this thing actually have? How much of those narratives that are being given out, or how much of the speculation around what the Atropa contract is doing or the 414 address is doing has some legs to be able to recover? That's what I'm watching for, just to see. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yep. Well, anyways, are you going to? That was the wrong question. Are you going to go up 30x leverage in the future? I'm trying to find the question. Above 30, there it is.
Yeah. So why don't we actually go over that? So if Sloth would be ever so kind to open up a position right now, I can show you how to get 50x leverage right now.
Let's do it. See, I'll do a million pulls. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I will degen with $42, sir. Don't you worry.
There you go. Yeah. So obviously it's going to ask you to enable your leverage. Click yes.
We ended up doing the sliding bars anyways, man.
I know it always goes back to this. I see that you use site suggested. That means you have your advanced settings in your gas. Congrats. Very smart. Yeah. I pay.
I've been around the block a couple times.
I pay, I think, 20x over what you pay for my gas fees. So my shit never doesn't go through. It always goes through. Okay.
It's taking me a little bit a second right now.
There you go.
Anyways, continue.
All right. So then once you're enabled to leverage, you open the position. It looks like it hasn't gone through yet. But yeah, so once you open the position, you go to edit. All right. And then you can withdraw collateral. And your maximum exposure is 50x. Okay. That's the highest leverage that you can take on Famous. All right. In a situation where, let's say, you're up in profit and you want to lock in some of that profit, all you got to do is withdraw some collateral, right? And then you're just increasing your exposure. So if the price does move against you, you've secured your bag, okay? And basically you've tightened up your liquidation threshold. So it looks like your long is being opened up. It's currently long submitted, yeah. So it'll take maybe a minute or two. Yep. So you've requested all that stuff. It's being opened currently, and then yeah. So in a situation where, let's say, you're 30x long, there you go. Once it opens up, you'll be able to see the actual withdrawal window and all that stuff, or like actually be able to edit it and whatnot. There you go. Bam. Edit. Withdraw. Okay, so out of $38, let's say you withdraw 10. Let's see what your leverage is after that. So you're 40x leverage now, right? So you're totally able to do that, right? The maximum, it'll literally tell you invalid. Okay, so you would be liquidated at this price. Let's do. There you go, 15. I think that would be the maximum that you do. Do 16, and it'll say, okay, so you'd actually literally be liquidated. Invalid lick price. Yeah, we need to pump the price for you, buddy. But when the price goes up, it'll basically say max 50x leverage. Okay. Yeah. So if you were to remove that collateral, basically you'd be at your liquidation price at this point because you've already paid these fees. It's going to calculate your fee up to for your entry and then your exit. Okay. So it's going to take that into account. But essentially, CryptoSloth could withdraw this collateral and get 50x leverage. I do not suggest you do this right when you open the position because you're going to be down 98% or some shit like that, right? So any sort of lower tick, you would get liquidated. So don't do that. Don't be stupid. But when you're in some, a decent profit, right, on your position of whether it's low leverage or high leverage, whatever, right, you can withdraw your collateral, lock in your profits, and then you can have that extra leverage, right? So, yeah.
I'm winning, guys.
Right.
Sorry, let's post this. I'll do it later.
There you go. So when you post these tweets, right now the devs are still changing it around, but right now download the picture, go to so download it first, save it, whatever, right? It'll save your picture, and then you click the tweet button, and then add the picture to your tweet. Okay, that'll be changed. It'll look different than what it does now. But when we had this feature on testnet V2B, it actually populated on Twitter, where it doesn't do that anymore. Elon Musk changed some shit or whatever, so it doesn't populate. So we have to change it. But anyways, yeah. For now, download the picture, go to Twitter, and then it'll post. You just add the picture to the tweet. Okay.
I really like this feature. It's small, but I like a good UI thing. Having your open position and then your liquidation price.
There you go.
It's a good way to visualize everything. I like it. So let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if I make some money today, man.
Yeah, let's if we go any longer, hey, see if in like 30 minutes or something, you're in. Let's say you get a double, right? So like a 3% move to the upside. That'd be great, right? I mean, shit.
That'd be amazing. Easy. I like doubling my money. Do you like doubling your money, Dylan?
I like doubling my money. Hex doubled. You could have sold it on a double. You could have sold it on a double. You could have
leveraged the double. You could have leveraged that.
Yeah, you could have sold it on 50%. You could have sold it on 50%. But I didn't do any of that. I just bought.
Yo, wait, me too.
Shit. Oh, man. We're leverage trading. Oh, no. We're going to fucking round trip.
Watch somebody on the stream just dump the price really quickly just to liquidate my position.
I mean, you only got to move it 3%, buddy. And less for you. Maybe 2%. You're done.
Oh my God, man. I'm glad this isn't my whole portfolio.
You know what? I'm gonna hedge myself. I'm gonna go short real quick.
The crypto sloth hedge.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna stick to teaching about LP and stuff. I don't think this is my game, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Anything else you want to touch on, man? We've been going for a good hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, so we touched on the positive carry between fiat and pHUX. We touched on PHLP. We even touched on how much traders are potentially paying. I'll ask the devs to make sure that that's what that means. But if that is what it means, then you're easily able to basically get a single-sided staking going for PulseX, Pulse, Hex. Even DAI was paying. What was DAI paying? Let's see here. DAI was paying 32%.
Is paying 32. Hey, hey, the stable coin pool was paying over 100, but hey, I'll take 32 now.
Hell yeah.
on a single sided position.
Yeah, I think on PHUX, I would. Well, obviously there's certain there's risks in doing that, right? If shorts win, then you're losing. Okay, but generally speaking, if we're going up or if we're just going sideways, right? And we're just getting like 3% moves or some shit, for the next month or something, up and down, maybe we just range or whatever. 32% on your stablecoin, that's not bad, man. So yeah.
I mean, what was Anchor paying? 20%? That's 10% more than the Ponzi.
That's right. Yeah, and that's not Ponzi money, baby. That's real stuff right there. That's not inflated Ponzi. Fucking fractional reserve stable coins, baby. That's straight DAI.
Hard money.
That's right. Exactly. So, and these are guys that are taking on risk to open these positions, obviously, and they're willing to pay. Like we used to say this on fiat, people are willing to pay for their loans. And now on Fame, they're very much willing to pay on these loans, right? Because when you're opening these positions, whether you're hedging on the short term or you're trying to make it all back on one trade, these guys, they don't mind paying these fees while they have these positions open. So, could be very lucrative when you're adding to the PHLP pool. So very nice to have these stat pages, right? Because it's really easy for you to calculate what's going on. So,
and we also didn't mention, but also when you're using this stuff, you can have like limits on when to take profits automatically. So if you're away from your computer and you have your trade that you want to exit, or your stop loss, all that's there too.
Yeah. So if you wanted to add a trigger, if you go to your position and you click on close, so scroll down, click close. Now you can go to trigger on the side, and you can enter a take profit price, a stop loss price, whatever you want, right? And you can do your leverage. You could do a portion. Doesn't matter, right? You could have, I guess, multiple triggers, right? So you could do like 10% at this price, 10% at that price, 10% at this price, whatever. You could have limit orders under it, right? You can increase your exposure, right? So there was this famous streamer called Sato Bitcoin or Sato, whatever. He's Korean, okay? We've all seen him where he's like just fucking, and he's just hitting his vape, right? And like just his liquidation, like, and it's just like he's just fucking losing $1 million, and but those rings, those are all limit orders that he's placed, right? So if the market isn't extremely volatile, you can also have limit orders, and you can kind of be buying as the price goes down, and you can be increasing your position size, whether it's just low leverage increase, so you're lowering your lick price, or it's increasing with the same leverage. So let's say you started off with a 10x long, right? And then you position on Hex, okay? And then you position a 10x or a 5x long at a negative 5% move, so a 50% down from your initial opening, okay? And so basically what you've done, if it's the same price, you've lowered your liquidation to, or you've lowered your leverage to, I think, 7.75 or something like that, X. And you've added collateral, which you've now bought the dip, and you've lowered your liquidation price marginally, right? And then you can keep doing that to kind of protect yourself if you need to, if you're speculating in that sort of way. Also on the flip side, you can use the trigger to close a position in profit while you're sleeping, if you're that confident, right? So, very powerful tools. Limit orders are great, and triggers are really sexy. So, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, I haven't dug into the triggers yet, so that'll be my next piece of to dig into, because I'm sure there's a lot there. Yeah, I'm down 2.57% right now. Wait, look at this. This is funny. Right when I open it up, boom.
It's actually fucked.
Look at that, man.
You bastard! Fuck.
Yeah. I think I spoke too soon. Did I get liquidated? Let me see.
No, you're still good.
No, I don't think
You
so.
got
I'm still good.
you got some time to go here before you get liquidated.
Yeah.
Where's your price?
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
I was
Maybe it doesn't bottom there. Hey,
Hey.
maybe you get this bull flag thing going and then it pumps back up.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty nice. It's right there with that support. I planned that. Those wick support.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I think it was DCC. He's watching. He's like, "Fuck off."
That's a bitch. You bastard.
Well, hey, talk about good content though. Like, I don't think it gets better than that candle right there.
There you go.
All right. Well, Dylan, man, thank you so much for coming on. I think this was a good conversation. I wanted to get into the weeds, and I think we got into them, man. I think this was a jam-packed hour and a half.
There you go. Yeah, and hey, if you want to come back on, I love getting in the weeds. We can get even more in depth if that's even possible later on in the future. So, yeah, I'm very open to talking to you guys and you specifically, sir, Mr. Sloth. So just let me know. And I would suggest, guys out there, if you want to shit post and you want to get these assholes that are trading that think that they know what's going on, what you need to do is you tell them, hey, asshole, go make an ENS, okay? Make it on a side account, right? Go fund it with some money, okay? And then go like, hey, I'm in the #1 position on Famous, right? On the traders tab, which we were on earlier, okay? The ENS works on ETH. Eventually that'll be hooked up on Pulse. But I think for right now, if you buy an ENS on ETH, it'll pop up on the Fame traders tab, okay? Which is, that's pretty cool, right? You'll see an account there that says, Buck your mom if you want Buck, right? So that's Buck, okay? And I'll make one here today. I'll do Stanny drinks your milkshake, okay? I'll put like $5,000 in it, okay? And then I'll try and be at the top of the leaderboard, and I'll go fucking shit post Buck, all right? But I encourage you guys to do that yourselves. Be funny, be creative, be worst trader ever, and then make sure you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, which should be hard, if you just lose constantly. Just have fun with it, okay, guys? And kind of taunt other people, tell them to put their money where their mouth is, all that stuff, and help out the speculation on Pulse Chain, and obviously on Fame if you hold any. So, but yeah, awesome. I think we can leave it there. That was good.
I think so too. So, guys, everybody in the chat, of course, thank you so much for watching and sticking around. All 77 of you. This was a pretty complicated stream at the very least. A lot of nuances. So if you're sticking around, I think you're gonna make it.
I think so too. I have just a little hint of that you'll make it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, just a little bit. After the stream, I'm actually going to record a quick video on yield arbitrage and the whole thing, and there's going to be a post on my website. So this is the draft of it. It's going to come up. It's going to use all the stuff that we just talked about today. So if you want to see this and you want to get this, if you want to watch the video and you want to read it live when it goes on, probably later today, go to cryptosloth.info. Here, I'll show it to you guys. Go here, throw your email in, and it'll go straight into your inbox. Yeah, right there. Throw it right there. And if some cool little tab will pop up in a second, wait for it. Never mind. It's not as cool as I thought. There it is. Yeah. You can throw it. A little delayed. But yeah, go here. Please, any support on liking this video, sharing it. When it's over, please throw a comment in there too. Helps the algorithm. Sign up to get that news article.
Yeah, tell us we're assholes in the comments.
Yep. Just actually, yes, everybody in the chat. I'm going to end the stream in a minute. Okay. I want you all to go in the chat and just say you're an asshole. The whole comment section to be that, and it's going to work perfectly with the thumbnail in the video because it says all you guys leverage your whole portfolio. I think that's going to be a great Everybody do that, please. If you like my content, I don't ask for much, but I'm going to ask for this. Comment you're an asshole at the end. All right, Dylan, where can we find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at bb_trippin without a G. That we like to know what that stands for. Bitches be tripping. Okay. And you can find me in the Telegrams. If you go to fame.io and then you click on ecosystem at the very top, it'll take you to all the Telegrams. It'll take you to all the Twitters. Okay. Go to Fight Club, which is at the bottom right of the ecosystem tab. All right. It says Fight Club, the trading chat for all PH products. Go in there, have fun, post your P&L, go shit talk everybody, tell them why they're wrong, tell them why they're stupid, tell them why crypto's a scam or why Hex is going to the moon. It's pretty lax in there. It's not run by Nazis. We have fun. We like memes, and we have a good sense of humor, right? So go have some fun. Go post in there. Enjoy yourself. Cry like a little baby. All right, all the things. Okay, and if you have any questions, DM me on Telegram. Okay, you can find me in those chats. It's at Hexastani. I'm not gonna spell it out for you. You can find me in Telegrams. Okay, so but yeah, I think that's good.
Perfect. And to end the stream off as we close, we'll just get with this beautiful red candle that's gotten worse as the stream has gone on. All right, everybody.
What's your P&L, sir? Let me see. Oh, it's not that bad. Okay. Okay. You're still a little too much.
Yeah. Hey, man, this is Max DJ. We're on the 5-minute chart.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Peace out.